Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dearest viewers of Jumu'ah Jewels, respected students, honored parents, as well as teachers, ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum to all of you for tuning in for a very, very special edition of Jumu'ah Jewels. What makes it so special? Of course, I have my co-host Maulana Yusuf Rawat. Assalamu alaikum, Maulana.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And Yusuf, one is we can see the smiles here and we can feel the happiness and excitement, but I'm sure in the online platform, in the online world, it's just going crazy at the moment.
Allahumma ameen. May Allah accept it, inshaAllah. Maulana Yusuf, someone that is dear to, I think, the world's hearts. Without any further ado, we give you the honor of welcoming our special guest for today, inshaAllah.
When they say that someone doesn't require introduction, then generally sometimes it's just to get away with introducing someone. But nonetheless, someone who's very close to my heart, a good friend, a scholar, an imam, a motivational speaker, we welcome officially to our Jumu'ah Jewels, Mufti Ismail Menk. Assalamu alaikum, habibi.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah, so good to be here. I'm very happy to have this opportunity. I was a little bit skeptical because normally on a Friday, I don't like to take schedules before the Jumu'ah. But this time I said, no, let's get it done, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, and we are pleased.
MashaAllah.
May Allah make it such that we have many more interactions and discussions.
Ameen.
So to all of those viewing us today, we have Mufti Ismail with us. We're going to be benefiting you through our discussions. So it's not going to be formal nasiha. So we're going to be having an interview type of setup with some nice questions that's going to appeal to the variety of our audience, right? So we have parents, we have teachers, we have students, we have kids. So inshallah, there's something for every single one of you. Mufti, to kick it off, right? If you were a teacher in Qur'an Online Academy,
Yes.
what subject would you teach and why?
I would teach a variety of subjects in order to polish my own knowledge and keep it abreast. Because what I taught for many years, and I taught different subjects, Islamic subjects, and I noticed that each time you teach a subject, you actually polish your own knowledge and keep it, fresh. Because if you, as a person who studied, and a lot of the ulama and the scholars would agree, if you don't keep reading and revising and repeating or teaching what you've learned, you would end up forgetting or rusty in your knowledge in terms of some of the things. It happens with all of us. Same with the Quran. If you're not going to revise, it's going to go away. So I think I teach a variety of subjects, but it's a good question, yeah?
Any grade in specific? Like I know some prefer to teach the smaller ones, some prefer to have the, with open-ended discussions with matured students now at the higher level, the equity phase.
Again, I'm going to sound a bit boring, but I like to teach different age groups. Because what I've done over the years is I've tried to adjust as you're talking to people based on who they are. So you have the youngsters, you can crack jokes with them, you can actually talk to them on their level, maintaining a slight, respect. And then you've got the little ones, it's a different type of speech. It comes from our own kids. I mean, those of us who are married and have children, the way we interact with them, you can interact the same way with other people's kids. They're also your kids as part of the ummah. And then the older people, just now as I walked in, Uncle Yaqub gave me a big hug around my neck. I told him, Uncle Yaqub, you're going to miss my scarf out. I'm going in, and I wore this color because there was an advert you sent me the other day, and the same color was on there. So I said, you know what, let me make it sound real. So like with him, I have a relationship that others won't understand. I wouldn't say that to someone else. Then I told him, when you're hugging, you hug a bit lower, as tight as you want.
MashaAllah. Mufti, stepping a bit into your childhood schooling life, what was or who was your favorite schooling teacher and why? And I guess as a related topic, what was your favorite schooling subject and why?
I think mathematics was my favorite in terms of school. When I was little, we didn't have the option of an Islamic school, and we had separate madrasa with school. And still, there's a lot of people who have that type of facility available only. So when it came to school, I found that some teachers were very knowledgeable, but they couldn't teach the subject. In that case, we all paid the price for that inability to teach, even though they were geniuses. And then I realized, not all these good teachers are actually good to teach. They might be brilliant in the subject, but they're not really that grand sometimes. And someone might not be so brilliant in a subject, but they're so good at teaching on the level. It happens with scholars or ulama also, that sometimes they know so much, but they don't know how to get it across. And sometimes they know little, but they're so good at getting it across. So mathematics, because obviously I was good with numbers. And I think maybe it's in the family. My brothers before me also, they were quite good in mathematics. And yeah, but Islamically, it was the Quran. I tell you one thing. Yesterday I was speaking to a youngster and I told him, listen, the Quran is everything. It's the soul of your life, basically. If you're a Muslim, your whole life should rotate around that Quran. Come what may, it should, every day you need to have a connection with it. That's your base. That's your base. You can go anywhere, you come back to that Quran every day. So no matter what we did in terms of secular education, the grounding in terms of Islamic education was very strict. I come from an extremely strict home when we were young. As we grew older, everything changed. So we had to look at things. Islam doesn't change, but sometimes the way the approaches and the way we address matters, that may differ from time to time. Nowadays, if you're going to say something in a very cutting way to someone, they probably will turn further away. With us, when you said something cutting, it made us come closer. When we were beaten in my age group, we actually did things better. Now you beat them, they won't do it. They'll drop out, basically. Yeah.
I'm just thinking it's good yet that you're good at mathematics, because for you to count the amount of followers we have, alhamdulillah.
That's probably the only thing I don't count.
Mufti, you're a man of various caps, right? So obviously you are there.
Yes.
I believe I'm not mistaken, you have 8 or 10 children?
10 children.
10 children, subhanallah. As a parent, you always have concerns for your children. Currently, what would you deem is one of your greatest concerns for your children? How do you address it as a parent?
So the biggest concern I have as a parent is that the pre-teen, teen age, where I always make dua to Allah, not just for my kids, but the kids of the ummah, that, oh Allah, safeguard them and let them nurture during those years with good company. One blunder, and it can mess up your entire life. You can get into company that's bad, drugs, gambling. To use a decent terminology, among the girls, they have these little groups where they make others feel so belittled and bad. They'll pay a price for it later on in life. But when they, in that teenage years, they make little, what you call them, gangs, small little groups in the school. And this one don't talk and that one. And you don't know that person's background, where they come from, what their problems are. And you're making things worse, and they cry because everyone wants love and acceptance. And if you're not going to get it in the right circle, you're going to get it in the wrong circle. That wrong circle will abuse you. So the fear as a parent is always, oh Allah, keep them on the deen, focused on the right things. Let them have the dunya to the degree that pleases you. Because at the end of the day, everyone needs to earn. Everyone wants a decent, life that's relatively comfortable. We all want to excel in dunya also. But again, the primary focus must be your salah and whatever else Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained. So for me, شَابٌ نَشَأَ فِي عِبَادَةِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى, in that hadith of the 7 who are shaded on the day of Qiyamah, that is super important. I always used to ask myself, why does Allah mention a youth, youngster? I'd like to think teen, pre-teen, post-teen, that sort of shabab time, because that's when you're being molded. Fair enough, there are people who get hidayah later on in life, but your own child, you'd like to be a guide to them, a role model to them. There are a lot of challenges. Look at movies and cartoons and all that. They've become ridiculous over time. And one of the reasons why I went into a little bit of it is because there's no alternative that's suitable, and there's nobody that, say what you want, they're not able to stop them from Tom and Jerry and everybody else. So I'd rather come in and say, I don't mind, facing flak no matter what. Never mind take the flak, but I know what's happening here. I'm not saying it's ideal what we're doing. It's okay. But what's happening there is totally haram. So I'd rather them have an option that's a little bit Islamized. It may not be the next generation will probably make it ideal. But for us, we weren't able to do it in the ideal way. We don't have the resources. But we went into certain things. And You know, and a lot of people know, I take the flak for it and I enjoy that flak because I look at the guy and say, you don't know, your kids, your grandchildren will benefit from what I'm doing, but you may sway me for now.
MashaAllah. Mufti Sahib, going to a bit of a more lighter question. Do you have any hidden talents or skills that people will be very surprised to actually know about?
Hey, there's quite a few there.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. Allah make it easy. Well, look, I'm a calligrapher. Maybe people might know I'm an artist. Yeah, I'm a swimmer. A little bit of sport here and there, quite a few things, and I drive extremely fast. Actually, the top speed I touch, I don't even tell people because someone said it's so illegal that they knock you off. But it's not. You see, one is dangerous driving and one is speed. So it's not dangerous, and I haven't like on the roads you stick to the rules and so on. But sometimes you get and you've got to go on to say a stretch or a circuit or something and enjoy yourself. MashaAllah.
Talking about that, your excitement and adventure, anything unique currently on your wish or bucket list that you haven't yet accomplished?
Well, I'm in the process of training for a license to skydive solo.
Solo.
Yeah, so I've done a few skydives tandem, but I don't want the tandem. I want to do it alone. So just yesterday, I was with a trainer who was telling me that, in fact, the night before last, I was with a trainer who was telling me, we need just 7 days of yours and we'll give you the license, because I told him I want to learn how to know where exactly to land. And he says, it's so easy. We'll go and get it done. So the thing is, the tandems are good, but there's a lot that comes with it. Anyway, cut a long story short, yes. So I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. The fear factor is something that I've learned to overcome. And I think one of the things, I can do some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, on the fear factor, we were just talking earlier, have you ever experienced stage fear? I mean, we see these huge stadiums in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
Hundreds and thousands of people there.
You see, I can give, anyone wants to speak in public, I can give you one tip that if you take with you, it should be sufficient. The people you're talking to are just like you. Address them as though they're your friends and your brothers. Don't ever look at them as though, oh, now I need to impress someone. You don't. And then the subject you want to talk about, just master it a bit. Just, learn it properly. Make sure that you know what you want to talk about. And then you get on and you say whatever. So I've been doing it for 25 years. And I think now you can tell me to talk on any subject without notice. I don't know. I'll probably tackle it. I mean, a 10, 20-minute talk is actually something basic. So there's so many ayat of the Quran, so many ahadith, so much in terms of Islamic knowledge that over the years, it's there, it's in your head. So stage fright maybe right at the beginning a few times. I remember the first lecture I spoke about in one of my talks when I delivered a Jumu'ah talk. It was supposed to be 15 minutes and I wrote it down. Firstly, it was very harsh. It was about the rules of Jumu'ah. And secondly is I read it from the paper in the masjid. Finished it in 7 minutes.
Yes, sir.
And there was still about 7-8 minutes to go, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, now what's going to happen? And I was nervous, There was an old uncle, he passed away, Allah yarhamu. He told me, read it again.
SubhanAllah.
As simple as that. So I read it again and the 15 minutes were up. Yeah. So that was one of my first memories of it. But then over the years, you're right, you speak to presidents, you speak to ministers. I've had parliaments that have come together and I've addressed them. So you have to rise to the occasion. It doesn't make you arrogant, it doesn't make you proud. You have to rise to the occasion.
Mufti, could you share with us some insight to your amazing work of dawah that is currently being done in Africa?
There is a lot that's happening. Firstly, grassroots. So what has happened is over the years, I belong to an organization in Zimbabwe called Majlisul Ulama Zimbabwe. It's founded in the 70s, so it's older than my own age. Right? My father founded it long back, and it has many ulama from all walks of life in the country. So I'm a part of it. I'm actually the Mufti there, but the work now has spread beyond just the country. So in the country, there's a lot of activity happening education, grassroots, knowing where the Muslims are, what their needs are, and so on, trying to help. So many courses in the masjids, they have women's empowerment programs, and what we provide is not just Islamic education, but even small business projects and trying to empower people, looking, secular education, sponsoring them for those who are less privileged. So a lot of that happens. There's so many departments, I wouldn't be able to talk about them. But personally, over time, I sort of backed off from teaching in the classroom when my travels increased, because the demand became so great that if I were to tell you from now up to after Ramadan, there's hardly a weekend where there's not something on my calendar. So if someone says, hey, we need you next week, my brother, I don't mean to be arrogant, but it's not as simple as that. You got to tell me a year in advance. Yes, unless I'm here. Like now, if I'm living here, Uncle Yaqub will say, what are you doing for Jumu'ah? I said, you know what, I haven't yet decided, because this was my family time. Well, would you be able to come here? Normally, I wouldn't go to a masjid that's not on my way to Lenasia, because I got to go there for lunch, So I'll go to a masjid that's between my house and Lenasia. But this time I came this way here. You can always make exceptions to the rule. But I'm very, very occupied. And what I've done over the years, if you've noticed, is specializing in those who hate Islam. So we're not even talking Muslims, we're talking about people who hate Islam. You're trying to make them listen to you. It's not a joke, it's not easy. You got to know how to do it. You got to have a strategy and work on it no matter what the world says. And one day they have to nod their heads and say, hey, this is something good, man. I hated Muslims, but are they okay? And then they'll have the courage to tell you, hey, there's a Muslim guy I follow. What happened? I can't guide you to Islam. I can just show you, hey, this is a good religion. It's not what you think it was. That's all. And then secondly, those who are very close, inshallah, we prod them towards it, and mashallah, thousands have accepted Islam. I used to count before. I stopped counting because I feel that, let's find out on the Day of Judgment what happens. Then there's the weaker Muslims that are probably the majority of us, which we don't realize. A lot of us in our own circles, we see people, but we don't realize the bulk out there. We never see them. When you're on social media, you realize, gosh, there's so many Muslims and all weird thoughts that people have. How to bring them in? I can't do the job of everyone, but the first 2 steps or 3, I can help in that. After that, other people have to take over. You're going to join a class, you're going to go to the masjid, you're going to go to a lesson, you're going to join this or whatever. That's something. So a lot of the times I pity those who attack people who are specializing in a different department of the Dini da'wah. When they don't realize its importance. Sometimes it's because of that grassroots work that the rest of it is being built, and we don't realize. So I don't mind. I just excuse the guys and keep working, because life is too short. I have a policy never to answer back to someone. Just leave them. If they have a misunderstanding, it's okay.
Mufti, a quick question from my side. The Quran is the communication from the Creator. It's immensely lovable. A difficult question. What is your, for lack of a better word, favorite verse of the Quran that you recite?
وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى.
Allah.
Hands down, that's my favorite verse. I mean, there's so many, but in this world, I've realized that you will never achieve what you have set out to achieve. Allah will give it to you when the time is right, either in here or in the akhirah. You do what you want, especially when you're working for Allah. You have to face mega opposition. If you don't, that work, there's something wrong with it. And where I got this from is every Nabi has faced challenges. The hadith says they have faced the most. ثُمَّ الْأَمْثَلْ فَالْأَمْثَلْ. Then who faces more? Those who are closer and those who are doing the work in a similar fashion, and so on. So when you are serving for the sake of Allah, one of my favorite verses also, not on that level, but the whole Quran is favorite, where Allah says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِّمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. That word, min al-Muslimin, I focused on it from when I was young. And that's why if someone tries to tell me, hey, so tell me more about you and you're this and you're that, I say, brother, I'm a Muslim. Where did I get this from? I'm inspired by that verse and I want to live upon that point وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. I'm going to concentrate on my a'mal, and I'm going to call towards goodness, and I'm going to say I'm a Muslim. If I stick to those three things, Allah Almighty then tells you that, you know what, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا. Those are the same verses. So, just for those who don't know the meaning of it, Allah Almighty is telling us who is there better in speech than the one who calls towards Allah, does good and says, I'm from the Muslimin, I'm from the Muslims. Today, if we want to solve the problems of the entire ummah, one of the things I have seen from my travels is we are so fragmented. We are so fragmented. How will we be able to resolve the matters of the ummah? Somehow we need to forge a respect, even with disagreement to a degree. I agree, beyond the point, it's very difficult to actually, forge a sort of a common understanding. But be up to a degree. What's happening now is people who are very similar in their outlook, they are fighting like if the enemy were to do a job, they wouldn't be able to do such a good job. We're doing it on our own.
Okay, people, we move to the next segment of today's program, and that's rapid fire questions. Right, time is against us, but what we've tried to do, we've watched those that are existing on YouTube already.
So you can avoid them.
We avoid them.
Thank you.
So we get to know more about
For your information, I'm not too good with rapid.
Okay, so it's not too heavy, right? BMW or Mercedes?
Mercedes.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Blue or green?
Blue.
Olive green or burnt orange?
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Olive green or?
Burnt orange.
What does burnt orange look like this?
Maybe a
little
two shades darker.
2 shades darker.
Maybe burnt orange.
Okay. Ajwa or sukari?
One of each.
All right. Time travel. Go back to the past or go into the future?
Going to the future, straight.
SubhanAllah. Beach or the mountains?
The beach.
Burgers or pizza?
Burgers.
Sudais or Shuraim?
Shuraim.
So that's it. Pretty good. Dosari, Balila or Mahir?
Tough one. Very tough. I either say all of them or none of them.
Okay, from the newer ones, I'm not going to say Balila.
Look, Balila is my age exactly, so let's say go for Balila. Mahir is a little bit older, Yasir is much younger.
I know you're going to say Balila too, because I chose two other
ones. Let's go.
Qarafi or Shamsan?
Shamsan.
Shamsan, mashallah. Zimbabwe or South Africa?
Pipe bridge. Pipe bridge in the middle.
Okay,
actually, South Africa is better in a lot of ways, and Zimbabwe is good in. Can I pause for a moment?
Yeah.
Zimbabwe has its uniqueness. Look, I've traveled. People say, "Where's your favorite country?" And sometimes I rattle a name, but I realize Allah has favored, just like He's favored every human with something unique and something negative. He's favored every nation with a positive and a negative. So there's no country that has only negatives or only positives. And you have to decide which negatives am I prepared to tolerate, and which positives do I really need that I can't compromise. And then you decide where you want to stay.
Okay, I'm going to give you an alphabet and you're going to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
A letter, yeah, okay.
The letter B.
Bandar Balila. Maybe we're talking about it.
The letter G.
G. A G-Wagon, what else?
O.
A blood type, O.
Okay. A place, Nigeria. What comes to mind?
Abuja.
Maldives.
Maldives. What do you mean what comes to mind?
Anything. You just think about Maldives. The first thing about
the blue, clear water that's almost see-through, yeah.
SubhanAllah. UK?
UK, the large crowds of people who attend events there, whoa, mashallah.
Nurun Nur, like
Nurun ala Nur, yeah, that's right.
I give you a word and what comes to mind? Peaceful.
Water, early morning on a lake that is quite large, and you're in a boat, just chilling in the center, and I've done this, and you're just listening to the beautiful light sound of the water and watching the sunrise. That's peaceful, mashallah.
Dal?
Dull is the weather in England.
Okay, final question. Yusuf Rahat or Yusuf Osman?
You know that I'm sitting in the middle. I'm sitting in the middle. MashaAllah. Well, the Yusuf of both of them.
Yusuf Khan is there.
MashaAllah. Mufti, to end off today's session, we wanted to try and look for something that would really stick for today's Jumu'ah Jewel session. I think we've had so much already. We've had an amazing crowd. We've had amazing questions, terrific responses. But in closing, Mufti sir, we would like to ask you and request of you to sing something that is close to your heart.
It's our challenge.
Sing something close to your heart. I'm not a singer.
That's why it's a challenge.
That's why it's a challenge, I guess.
It's a tough one.
Anything. Maybe the childhood Nizam, anything.
Hey, you better you honestly stumped me.
I was just going to say I got the caption, Mufti Menk stumped.
I don't know what to do. You ask me to read Quran, you can test me from anywhere. Yes, that's not a bad one.
Let's go for Tala al-Badr. We'll sing with you.
Okay, let's go. طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ما دعا لله داع أيها المبعوث فينا جئت بالأمر المطاع جئت شرفت المدينة مرحبا يا خير داع
ما شاء الله.
Allah, mashallah.
Well, I had the two of you guys before.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, Mufti sir. I think we are so appreciative. We can't show our gratitude enough to you for taking out the time, like you mentioned, a busy Friday morning, but you have afforded us this amazing and golden opportunity. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always keep your doors of prosperity, of knowledge, of good health, of abundance in khair and barakat.
Ameen, ameen, ameen.
And Allah always use you as that beacon of hope and hidayah for the entire humanity. Ameen.
Ameen, ameen. If I've learned anything today, I learned that I need to learn a song. I'm sure it would be good, inshallah.
We thank our audience, both those here on site and online. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. For those who joining us the first time, Jumu'ah Jewels happens every week, inshallah. The only difference is not at 10 a.m., normally at 8 a.m. So please be among those who will join us on a weekly basis here on Jumu'ah Jewels, brought to you by Kurtuba Online Academy.
From ourselves here at the studio, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.